Welcome everyone to the inaugural episode of the Filmosophers Movie Talk Show. I'm Chris Busch.
And I'm Dean Sluyter.
And the Filmosophers Show, we talk about films and filmosophy with the people who make the movies and who love the movies. We thought we'd use this inaugural show to introduce ourselves and to let you know what you can expect to enjoy when you listen to our podcast and watch the YouTube videos.
So what's this show about? It's about the movies. There's something magic that happens in movies at their best that doesn't happen anywhere else, doesn't happen in any other activity, any other art form. The moment in The Third Man when the cat goes through the shadows and cuddles up to Orson Welles' ankle, the moment in Apocalypse Now, the opening of Apocalypse Now, the sound of the helicopters, the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Brad Pitt tripping on acid as he plops the dog food out of the can. Moonrise Kingdom, any moment in Moonrise Kingdom, but for instance, Moonrise Kingdom, those two lovely, wistful, prepubescent children dancing together on the beach. So if you have some idea of what I'm talking about, or you want to have some idea of what I'm talking about, you're in the right place. So what we'll be doing is talking usually with guests, all kinds of filmmakers, film critics and writers, directors, producers, production designers, actors, people who work, as Chris says, in front of the camera, behind the camera, talking about their favorite films, their favorite film moments, their own careers, and also to explore to some degree the deeper level. What, you know, we're not just film, we're filmosophers. So what's the philosophical, dare we say it for lack of a better word, the spiritual dimension in these films? So this is what we're going to be doing, and mainly we plan to have a lot of fun.
And should anyone be questioning our qualifications, we'll use this opportunity to introduce ourselves. And I will introduce Dean by saying that Dean has taught meditation and led workshops, meditation workshops, for, let's just say a bunch of decades, from maximum security prisons to the Guatemalan rainforest. For 33 years, he worked at a fancy prep school in New Jersey, where he taught English, meditation, and film history. Dean has been a film critic for a chain of East Coast newspapers and for Tricycle, the Buddhist Quarterly. He's the author, he's the award-winning author of five books, including Cinema Nirvana, Enlightenment Lessons from the Movies. These days, Dean is very fortunate to live in lovely Santa Monica, California, where he's married to documentary filmmaker Yafa Larea and leads meditation sessions online. Kind of the way everything is these days.
And my partner in crime is Christopher Busch. Chris has also taught meditation for decades. He's an establishing member of the David Lynch Foundation, which brings the stress-reducing transcendental meditation technique to under-resourced communities, such as vets with PTSD, inner-city students, and women and girls in recovery from abuse. He comes from a family of performers, and I can testify to that because I grew up with these characters. And they're all a bunch of performers, whether on stage or screen or backyard by the poolside. His father was a casting director and drama coach for many years in Los Angeles. As a kid, Chris was an actor in shows like Dr. Kildare, Ben Casey, Branded, and Time Tunnel. I can do the theme song, I think, for every one of these except Time Tunnel. And he came this close to being one of the Van Trapp children in The Sound of Music. Which one? Do you know?
I think Kurt, the little blonde kid.
The little blonde kid.
I went on several callbacks with the director, Robert Wise. And I think I lost out because of the height differential between me and the actress Angela Cartwright, to whom they'd already made a commitment. So my mom was already packing the bags for Salzburg.
Oh
So
man.
life took a different turn, but I'm one of those, where are they nows?
Yes. Handicapped since childhood by his height deficiency.
Yeah, that's right. So
has the statute of limitations expired for a lawsuit on that one?
The statute of limitations?
Statute. Listen up, Chris.
Okay. Oh, and it should be said, we want to say, actually it doesn't should be said, but we want to say.
It will be said right now.
Dean and I share quite a storied history with one another. Dean, tell them how far back we go.
Okay. Well, we go back to in utero and beyond. Our parents were good friends in Long Island before we were born. And our families grew up together first on Long Island, and then there was a migration within a few years in the mid-50s. There was about half a dozen families that were all friends and all belonged to the same subversive political organizations that all moved out to the Los Angeles area. So I grew up swimming in the Busch's pool. Actually, Chris's mom plucked me out of that pool one time, probably saved my life. So she kind of gave life to both of us.
That's not why Dean agreed to co-host with me, but I'm sure it played in my favor.
Paying it back at last.
And when we were in our teens, I think I was 12 or 13, Dean was 15 or 16, we joined up in a recording studio in Hollywood to record radio promos for a feature animated film called Pinocchio in Outer Space.
He's not making this up. Pinocchio in Outer Space.
And Dean found the ad promos online just several months ago, I think.
Yeah, after a year's long search, it showed up on YouTube.
And you get to listen to those right now.
We're at Cape Kennedy for the new blast-off into outer space. Teenagers Tom Mariner and Bill Lunar are entering the space capsule. Tom and Bill, how do you feel about being the first teenagers to go into outer space?
Cool, man, cool. I hope I find a girl in outer space.
Good luck. The countdown is on.
9, 8, 7.
It's moments to blast.
5.
They're off.
Bill, I see something strange off to the right.
Tom, it's a space flying whale. What's that off to the left?
Bill, it's the Lost Martian City in space.
Tom, look. Do you see what I see?
Bill, it's Pinocchio. Pinocchio in outer space.
Let me just point out that my key line there is, I hope I find a girl in outer space. And that essentially became the theme of my life for many years.
Was that your mantra before you learned meditation?
Yes.
All right.
Okay.
So occasionally, as Dean mentioned, it will just be the two of us talking about films and making some movie recommendations. But most times, we'll have conversations with guests who work in front of and behind the cameras. And our guests include film director David Lynch, Joe Mangianello of True Blood and Magic Mike, History of the Eagles documentarian Alison Ellwood, Michael Imperioli of The Sopranos, Oscar-winning production designer Eugenio Zanetti, and many, many more. So we think you'll enjoy the shows, and we thought we'd preview clips for you from a few of those shows now.
Always challenges, always day by day. The analogy I stuck with was, okay, it's early in the morning and you've had your coffee and you've meditated. Now you're going off to shoot that day's work. And it's like there's a giant, like Grand Canyon, deep gorge, and you're building a bridge from this side over to that side today. And as you put the bridge together, it's glass. It can shatter at any moment. And you have to work on, pay attention to every detail, no matter what. One actress today, or 17 actors today, this location, that move, this thing, all that, you know, the stuff on the set, every kind of thing. Every detail from morning till afternoon to evening to night. And only after you feel you've gotten everything and the way you're supposed to get it, does the bridge turn to steel. And then you got to do the same thing again the next day.
With Die Mommy Die, which I just loved making, it was perhaps the happiest, most creatively fulfilling experience of my entire life, really. I just loved it so much. Things went very smoothly, but I had two little Pekingese dogs in the movie. I played this, you know, faded film star, and she had these two little dogs, and they were the stupidest animals ever. I mean, they were just terrible. All they had to do is move closer to me, and they wouldn't. And dogs love me. I didn't know what was wrong. They ended up putting pieces of prosciutto all over my costume, and the stupid dog still wouldn't come over to me. Yeah, and so finally I just, you know, kind of grabbed them, and they had one more day to shoot, and so we canceled that day. We wrote them out of the next day's scenes, and the wrangler was just furious, of course, that she lost a day's work. And she said, "What did you expect? They'd never worked with a cross-dresser before."
There were a lot of things that got left on the cutting room floor for the Go-Go's film because there were so many funny anecdotes and so many funny, crazy little tales and adventures they had. But one of my favorite stories with them that just didn't make it into the film was they were in, I believe it was Germany, and they were all wild and they decided to trash their dressing room. It was a total mess. And then they're like, oh, this is so terrible. We're going to make some poor person come in and clean this up after. So they cleaned it up themselves. And their road manager said, "Girls, you are not Motley Crue."
People ask me a lot about creative process and about writing and things like that. And I always say, once you're engaged in something, be it a book or writing music, whatever it is, once you're engaged in that project, once you break ground on it, your consciousness as an artist becomes attuned to it. So you have to pay attention to everything that comes. No thought is random. Don't think, oh, this is kind of a weird idea. It's just random, or a dream or something like that. You have to write everything down and take all of it very seriously, because your consciousness as an artist has now become tuned to that specific vibration, and nothing is random anymore.
You know, as any filmmaker knows, you run up against the wall sometimes when you're editing. Things just aren't working. This segment doesn't work, and what I would find is, like, I would find myself editing. I would have my laptop open and be editing on long plane flights back and forth across the country, and you know, oh, it's time for my afternoon meditation. Great. So I'd take 20 minutes on the plane, meditate. And usually when I would come out of it, I would have some idea about the section that I was stuck on editing. And I'd realize, oh, I bet you if I put this piece of music and I bump this piece of footage here and move this one around, this jigsaw puzzle, I would see the rearranging of it after clearing my head and coming out of meditation. So I find meditation to be a really, like, interesting creative tool, in that I will see visions or have ideas when my body calms or my mind calms about where to go next.
So thanks for dropping by and checking out our little enterprise here. We hope that you will subscribe to our YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button, and I believe there's a little bell that you can click on so that you're notified when new episodes come up, and be looking for our podcasts, and hopefully we will see you at the Filmosophers. Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, Dean.
Look, Tom, it's a space flying whale.
Hope I find a girl in outer space. Thank you for joining us on the Filmosophers Movie Talk Show. Please subscribe to stay up to date on our newest episodes.